Discover the amazing moment a soldier and his K9 found a girl in the snow with life-changing words. The snow hung like twinkling stars, blanketing the small town of Maple Hollow. Jake, a decorated soldier returning home after years of service, lumbered through the village with his loyal golden Labrador, Max, by his side. His rugged face held the weight of many battles, and his weary eyes mirrored the regret and sorrow tucked deep within. Though he had faced down enemy fire, the silence from his estranged family felt like a different kind of war, a battle with unspoken words and emotional scars. As he strolled through the frostbitten streets, memories rushed at him like the sharp sting of winter air. The old diner where he shared pancakes with his mom on chilly Sunday mornings loomed ahead, but instead of warm nostalgia, it filled him with an aching sense of loss. There was the park where he played catch with his father, laughter echoing amidst the snow drifts, but that joy had long since faded, replaced by a longing for connection he'd lost. The town felt smaller, encased in ice, even while its beauty warmed his heart. Yet, loneliness shadowed him like a companion, as familiar as Max's wagging tail. On a mission to find stray dogs wandering in the swirling snow, Jake's thoughts turned darker. The remaining fragments of his military past, images of comrades lost, chaos, the stark contrast of life and death flooded his mind. Just then, a tremor caught his eye. Out in the distance, a small figure appeared, huddled on the ground like a forgotten doll amidst the white backdrop. "Hey there. Are you all right?" Jake called out, his voice heavy with concern. The young girl looked up, her cheeks flushed, shivering from the cold. I got lost," she stammered, eyes wide and teary. He felt something shift within him, recalling the days he felt lost, a sentiment fostered on distant shores. Kneeling down to her level, Jake gave her a reassuring smile. "Name's Jake. I've been lost before too, but we'll find our way back. What's your name?" "Emma," she whispered, her courage breaking through. As they waited in the snowfall, they began to share stories, her family's struggles for warmth and comfort, like a candle flickering in a storm. With every word exchanged, Jake felt the heavy chains of his own isolation start to loosen, if just a little, before they could spiral further into the afternoon's chill. A gust kicked up the snow, making Max bark. The dog began digging frantically, unearthing something from beneath the surface. Jake's heart raced as he rushed to his side, uncovering a weathered family photo, a forgotten piece of history. Staring at the picture, the sight hit him like a truck, faces he had known, memories he had pushed away, all coming back in a rush. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The photo, snow-tinged and fragile, held the echoes of laughter that no longer filled his heart. He locked eyes with Emma, whose innocent gaze held more understanding than any therapy session. In that moment of shared vulnerability, Jake knew he stood at the precipice of a life-changing decision. Would he venture forth into the warmth of family ties he had neglected for too long, or turn back into the cold, lost like he had always feared? As they stood together, the swirling snow fell harder, wrapping around them like a secret yet to be uncovered. Could both Jake and Emma find their way home, not just in the maze of snow, but within their own hearts? Jake's fingers trembled as he held the weathered family photo, the faces within it alive with laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to the cold reality enveloping him. Tears threatened to spill, but he fought them back. What would it mean if he embraced this moment, the picture that should have felt like a ghostly reminder, but instead burned like a beacon? Emma peered curiously at the photo. "Is that your family?" she asked, her voice breaking through the silence of the falling snow. He nodded slowly, unable to look away from her bright, inquisitive eyes. "Yeah, it's an old picture. This was taken before I left." The words stumbled out, heavy with years of neglect and regret. "What happened?" She seemed genuinely curious, her small frame shivering against the cold. And yet, in that moment, her gaze was warm, giving him a sense of safety he hadn't felt in ages. Jake took a shaky breath. I joined the army. Thought it was my chance to find purpose. Just lost touch with everything back home. Emma didn't shy away. Instead, she shifted closer, as if sharing warmth in the biting cold. I get it. I sometimes feel lost, too. My mom is always working, and my dad he's not around. It's just me and my little brother. In an instant, he felt the weight of her words resonate deep within him. Memories of loneliness washed over him, pulling him back to his childhood. Jake rubbed the back of his neck, trying to ease the tension he carried like armor. You're brave to say that. It's tough being young and feeling alone. Yeah, but I have Max. She giggled, pointing at his golden retriever. Max, oblivious to the serious nature of their conversation, licked her hand, wagging his tail playfully. Dogs really do make a difference, huh? Jake smiled, the corners of his mouth lifting just enough to push away some of the dark clouds lingering in his heart. He looked at her small frame, bundled in oversized clothes, her spirit shining bright even in the bleakness surrounding them. And then, just like that, Jake made a decision. Kneeling down to meet her level, he said, "Why don't we get you home? It's not safe to be out here." Emma hesitated, her eyes drifting toward the shadowy woods just beyond the park. But what if I can't find my way? We're in this together, he assured her, his voice steadier than he felt. You have me, and I've seen a lot worse than a snowy forest. Let us look out for each other. They set off, Max leading the way as though he sensed the journey ahead held something significant. Each step felt lighter for Jake, the burden of his isolation easing. As they walked, he began to share stories from his own childhood, happy memories of snow battles against his friends, hot chocolate poured into mismatched mugs, and the grounded love of his mom. Emma listened intently, sometimes giggling, sometimes pretending to hold the weight of the snow-laden sky. In exchange, she opened up about her own dreams, her wishes of bright, sunny days that felt tangible rather than a direction obscured by gray. But as they continued, the woods grew thicker, the world around them becoming disorienting. Jake sensed the urgency of their situation creeping back into focus. Somehow, they had ventured deeper than intended, and the beauty of the surroundings turned unnerving. Stay close to me, he urged, gripping her hand gently. Suddenly, a rustle broke the stillness of the air. They froze, sharing a quick glance of startled confusion. With every beat of their hearts, the unknown loomed larger. A shadow emerged from behind a tree, dark against the white backdrop, a flicker of movement that quickened the pulse in his throat. What is that? Emma whispered, eyes wide with both fear and intrigue. Jake's heart raced as he prepared to confront the uncertainty that stood before them. Was this a mere trick of the imagination or something that would change their lives forever? Jake's body tensed, instincts kicking in as he squared his shoulders, trying to shield Emma from whatever emerged from the shadows. The snow fell silently around them, an eerie blanket muffling the surrounding world. The shape drew closer, and he squinted into the dimness. His heart hammered wildly as the shadow transformed into the unmistakable form of a man, thin and hunched, his face obscured by a fraying beanie. A dark coat hung loosely on his frame, and as he stepped into the fading light, Jake felt an uneasy pit forming in his stomach. "Hey there," the man said, his voice gravelly yet somehow gentle. "You lost?" Jake tightened his grip on Emma's hand, readying himself for any sudden movement. "No, we're fine. Just helping this girl get home." The man raised his hands, fingers splayed as though to show he meant no harm. "I'm not here to cause trouble. Just a simple guy, looking for a warm place to sleep." Emma's grip on Jake's hand faltered, eyes curious but wary. Jake didn't move. "What are you doing out here?" "Same as you, I suppose. Just wandering. Trying to find a little hope in this mess." His smile was warm but tinged with sorrow, like an old photograph he'd let fall in the dirt. Jake studied the man, noting the deep lines etched into his weathered skin, evidence of a life lived hard and a spirit worn down by circumstances. There was something painfully familiar in the way he held himself, a reminder of battles fought and dreams chased. Beneath the layers of perceived danger was a kind of vulnerability that tugged at Jake's heart. "Where's your home?" Emma spoke up suddenly, her tone softening as she broke through the tension. The man looked down, seemingly weighed by the question. "I don't have one at the moment. Sometimes home is just where you lay your head, you know." His gaze shifted between Jake and Emma, searching for understanding. "Yeah," Emma whispered, her own story echoing in the unspoken words. Jake's heart felt a pang, torn between wanting to protect Emma and knowing that this man was struggling too. "We were just on our way," he said finally, sensing the need to keep moving, but his resolve softened. "Can we help you?" The man looked up, surprised by the offer. "Help? You'd really do that?" "We can't just leave you out here," Jake replied. "There must be a shelter nearby or somewhere warm." The man's face lit up, hope flickering dangerously close to the surface. "That would be incredible," he breathed, wiping at a tear that lingered at the edges of his eyes. "I was starting to think no one cared anymore." The trio began to navigate the path through the woods together, the weight of the moment heavy yet strangely uplifting. Emma's laughter broke through the silence as she shared stories of Max's antics. The man chuckled, his dark expression lifting, and for a moment, the chill of the evening dissipated. But the deeper they ventured into the woods, the more Jake realized this wasn't just about getting Emma home or helping a stranger. It was about connection, two wounded souls trying to support another, bonding over shared struggles in a world that often turned cold. As they reached the edge of the woods, a flicker of light pierced the darkness ahead, a hopeful glow reflecting off the snow-covered ground. But as they approached, Jake felt a sudden chill grip him. "Wait a second," he said, sensing a shift in the atmosphere. "What's over there?" The man hesitated, his previous cheer fading, replaced by worry. That's where I thought I'd find shelter," but the glow folded into the ominous silence, revealing something dark at the entrance, an echo of last choices made. "No," Jake breathed, fear creeping back in. "What is that?" His voice wavered as the realization hung heavy in the air. The unknown moments ahead threatened to unravel everything they'd just built. Would they find warmth, or would this lead to something darker than they anticipated? They stood there, on the edge of discovery, ready to face whatever came next. The light flickered again, casting long shadows that danced around them, deepening the unease in Jake's chest. "We don't have to go any closer," he said, trying not to show how unsettled he felt. But the man took a step forward, curiosity battling with caution. "No, I need to see." His voice trailed off as his eyes reflected a mix of hope and dread. Emma moved closer to Jake, her small body shaking slightly. He could feel her heart racing through their linked hands. "Maybe we should just turn back," she suggested, her voice tiny in the large, cold expanse surrounding them. "Hey," Jake said, kneeling to meet her eyes. "Whatever's happening, we'll face it together. You and me." He offered a reassuring smile, but his insides were twisting, caught between instinct and compassion. The man took a breath, gathering strength. "You know, I came here for a reason." He paused, searching for the right words. "What's waiting might not be what you think." "What do you mean?" Jake asked, his protective instincts flaring. The man drew closer to the entrance, where the flickering light revealed more shadows than substance. "A long time ago, this place held promise. It used to be a home for many, but it became a crutch for others. The two aren't the same. Not anymore." His voice flattened, the weight of his past crashing over them like an avalanche. As Jake leaned in, the flickering light illuminated a door, creaking slightly in the breeze. The ghost of laughter echoed from within, hauntingly familiar yet eerily distorted. "Maybe we should check it out," Jake said reluctantly. His heartbeat quickened, pulses of adrenaline urging him forward. Emma squeezed his hand tighter. I don't want to. What if it's bad? What if it's good? Jake countered softly. What if we can help? With a sudden surge of resolve and against every instinct telling him to turn back, Jake stepped forward into the dimly lit entrance, the man following closely behind. Emma hesitated before stepping in, hesitating at the threshold, as if testing the ground before going deeper. Inside, the air was warmer, filled with the scent of something smoky that made Jake's stomach rumble. It looked like it had once been a community space, with faded photos on the walls and haphazard furniture scattered about, left to the whims of time. And there it was, a flickering fire, not just a glimmer of hope, but a beacon drawing them in. But it wasn't just the warmth that shocked Jake. It was the sound, a soft whimper coming from the far corner of the room. Jake's breath caught in his throat. What was that? He gasped, as the man's expression shifted from curiosity to a harried concern. Emma moved instinctively, pulling away slightly, her voice trembling as she whispered, Jake, what if it's dangerous? It might be someone who needs help, Jake said, racing toward the source of the sound, his heart pounding harder. As they approached, the flickering light illuminated a small figure shivering on the floor. A child, bundled in rags, peering back at them with wide, terrified eyes. Time froze for a moment, the sound of the world around them fading into muffled echoes. Hey there, it's okay, Jake said, kneeling low, trying to appear non-threatening. The warmth of the fire danced on his face, but the chill in his heart only deepened. Would they find the hope they sought, or was this only the beginning of a far darker unraveling? The child's gaze flickered to the man, then back to Jake, uncertainty etched across her face. What decision would Jake make now? How would they help each other when danger loomed so closely? And before he could react, the child whispered 7 words that would change everything. I can't leave, I have to stay. The weight of her words hung in the air, and Jake felt the fabric of their fate shifting again, tighter than ever. What secrets lay buried in this eerie refuge? What would they uncover? Jake's heart raced as he registered the child's words. I can't leave, I have to stay. What did that mean? His mind spun with questions. He glanced at Emma, who stood frozen, a mix of fear and concern written all over her face. The man, taller and stooped with age, didn't seem to know what to say. Why can't you leave? Jake managed, his voice softer now, as if trying to coax the truth from the girl. He edged closer, praying his presence would exude reassurance instead of dread. The child's eyes darted around the room, her breath quickening. They'll come back. They always come back, she said, her voice trembling. I have to wait, I promised. Who will come back? Emma asked, taking a tentative step forward. Her small hand still clutched tightly at Jake's. She hesitated, eyes darkening at the mention of those unseen figures. They take you away if you leave. Across the room, the shadows stretched ominously as the fire crackled, casting a warm glow around them. But within that warmth, a deep chill settled in Jake's bones. He looked toward the man, who seemed distant, lost in his thoughts, as if recalling an ancient pain. Is it safe here? Jake wanted to know. We can help you if you let us. The child's gaze fell to the floor, her small frame shivering from a cold deeper than the surroundings. You can't help, she whispered, almost to herself. You're not from here. The weight of her sorrow weighed heavier than any secrets. But there was a flicker of something in her eyes, a spark of hope that begged to be ignited. Jake glanced at Emma, whose wide-eyed innocence mirrored his own uncertainty. Listen, he said gently, we're here for you. We won't let anyone take you. He kneeled down, trying to get on her level, heart hammering with urgency. You're not alone anymore. Please, let us help. For a fleeting moment, he noticed a flicker of trust behind the girl's guarded expression. Her breath steadied, and she met his gaze. If you leave, you might not come back. The man stepped closer, almost as if he were drawn to the girl's vulnerability. We've all been in places like this, he said, each word slow and deliberate. But we can leave. And together, we can make sure there's safety. Just tell us who's waiting for you. But her eyes clouded with fear once more. I've lost too many my family, my friends. Jake felt a lump in his throat. This child needed something more than just words. It was a lifeline, an anchor, a promise. You don't have to face this alone. We can be your family, he offered, his voice thick with emotion. You can come with us. Trust us. The flickering fire cast dancing shadows, and in that moment, something shifted. The air was electric, simmering with emotions yet undiscovered. I want to believe, she whispered, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through her hardened exterior. Jake reached out, taking her small, trembling hand in his own. Then let us find a way out of here, together. But before he could fully embrace hope, the shadows on the wall morphed into darker forms, and a heavy silence fell. Be ready, the man murmured, eyes narrowing as they sensed an impending presence. Suddenly, the creaking of floorboards echoed from the entrance, and every instinct within Jake screamed to prepare for whatever was to come. Would they be able to protect this fragile child, or would they stumble into dangers yet to be revealed? As the door swung slowly open, the figures standing there were cloaked in darkness, yet they radiated an ominous power. Jake's grip tightened around the child's hand, heart pounding like a drum, knowing that everything was about to change. Could they confront the dangers lurking in the shadows, or was this refuge just the beginning of a much deeper fight for survival? The door creaked open wider, revealing two shadowy figures, their faces obscured by hoods. The room felt smaller, air thick with tension as fear slithered back into the corners of Jake's mind. He clutched the little girl's hand tighter, instinctively positioning himself between her and the encroaching darkness. What do you want? He called out, trying to inject authority into his voice, but it trembled slightly. Emma shifted beside him, her breath hitching as her eyes darted between Jake and the newcomer's point. One of the figures stepped forward, the hood shifting slightly as it revealed a hollow face framed by long strands of hair that matched the inky darkness of its cloak. We've come to take her back, the figure said, voice smooth and chilling. This place is not for her. The promise must be kept. The child stiffened, her hand slipping from Jake's grasp as she took a reluctant step toward the figures, an unseen thread pulling her forward. No! Jake shouted, lunging forward, but the man blocked his path. Let her choose, the man said firmly, though there was a hint of sadness in his voice. The shadows are calling her home. We cannot fight the promise. Promise? What kind of promise? Emma asked, her innocence cutting through the tension like a knife. The child's eyes flickered with turmoil, reflecting the pain of a decision far heavier than her small body should bear. They took my family, she whispered, her voice barely audible. They said I could see them again if I waited. No! Jake cried, desperation clawing at his chest. You don't have to do this. We are here for you. We want you to have a choice. Are you willing to go? The dark figure pressed, its voice hypnotic and cold. You could leave this pain behind and return to those who love you. The girl's gaze swirled with confusion. She wanted to believe, to feel the warmth of her family's embrace again, but she also felt the fragility of hope flickering in the presence of these figures. Jake stepped closer. But you don't even know if they're really there. You don't have to leave. You have us now. We will find a way to keep you safe. He wanted to reach her, but fear had planted roots in the girl's heart, pulling her in different directions. The figure behind the first one shifted, eyes glimmering like shards of glass. Your family is gone. You know that deep down. The girl's breath came in shaky gasps. I just want to be with them. Tears brimmed in her eyes as she cast a helpless look at Jake and Emma. The man beside Jake scanned the ominous figures, stress cracking his weathered features. You're not alone. Even if your family is lost, we can become your new family. Don't let them take control. But hesitation danced across her face, caught between the darkness promising her a reunion and the warmth surrounding her now. What if they're lying? She whispered, her voice quavering. The figures shifted, impatience creeping through their silence. The door will close soon. Make your choice. As the faintest echoes of whispered promises swirled, an unseen force pulled at Jake's heart. He couldn't let her go. You're not a promise to anyone. You are alive, and you matter here, with us. Hope ignited in the quietest crevice of the room, but would it be enough? The seconds stretched like hours as the girl teetered on the brink of a decision that could shatter everything. The air felt electric, and Jake could see it. A shadow flickered behind them, a sense of urgency climbing higher. Please, Jake said, his voice barely above a whisper. Choose us. But before she could respond, the room trembled, and the shadow of truth loomed larger. What lay beyond the door? Would the price of her choice tear their newfound family apart before it even began? The shadow-drenched figures loomed ominously as the ground beneath Jake's feet seemed to give way. He felt like a soldier in enemy territory, battling not just for survival but for the heart of a little girl. Her wide, tear-streaked face drew the full force of his resolve. Rushing forward, he grasped her hand once more, anchoring her to the present. Don't listen to them. He shouted, feeling the adrenaline spike. They are lying. You have us. We want to let you go. The girl's gaze swung between him and the tempting allure of the cloaked figures, caught in a storm of emotion. Her breathing quickened, each gasp pulling her away from the safety Jake offered. Do you really think they care for you? The first figure said, its voice smooth like silk, void of warmth. They can't give you what you truly want, your family. But I can. Jake's voice cracked as he stepped even closer. I may not be your family, but I promise to protect you. We can find a way. Together, we can find them. Emma stepped forward too, her hands clasped nervously together. You're not alone. You have people who care. Please, stay with us. We can help you feel safe again. The pull of the dark promise hung heavy, a palpable force that made Jake's heart race. He could see the conflict in her eyes, the way her small hand trembled in his grasp. Desperation clawed at his throat. It's like a trick, a trap, he urged, his voice fast. You're stronger than they want you to believe. You can choose your own path. The figures shifted, their disappointment settling into silence, but Jake could sense their determination to reclaim what they felt was theirs. The first figure's eyes glinted menacingly, a reminder of the danger lurking just beyond the veil. The air in the room thickened, chilling Jake's skin. Embrace the truth, the figure said, voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. They cannot give you what the shadows can. The warmth of your family is meant to be felt, not just remembered. Follow us, and you won't have to be sad anymore. The little girl's breath faltered. But what if they're right? No. Jake's heart pounded like thunder. Look at me. He held her gaze fiercely, willing her to see the conviction in his eyes. You choose what your life looks like. Don't let them decide for you. Maybe you'll always miss them, but you're not just a memory. You deserve to live. You deserve to find joy again. Tears welled in her eyes, and for a moment, her lips quivered as though she might speak. Unexpectedly, a fierce wind swept through the room, whirling like a ghost, unsettling everything in its reach. The shadows writhed in response, and a faint roar echoed from behind them like a beast awakening. Jake braced himself, knowing the situation was spiraling toward an unknown climax. Choose us. He shouted one last time, desperation threading through every word. The girl blinked rapidly, her mind a furious storm. Shadows danced around the figures, dark fingers stretching as if to pull her into the void. The whispers grew louder, urgency blending with Jake's impassioned plea. Time crawled, each agonizing second stretching until it felt like eternity, and then as if she finally decided, the atmosphere sparked with potential. The little girl took a hesitant step back from the figures, her eyes lighting up with a flicker of hope, but just then, the door behind the figures began to close, the faint light from the other side shrinking quickly, sealing off whatever reality lay beyond. "Wait!" Jake shouted, realization crashing over him. They were running out of time. What choice would she make? Would her decision ripple through the darkness, or would it swallow them whole? The room held its breath as the little girl took another small step back. It felt like the world had paused, the shadows tightening around her, eager to reclaim their prize. Jake's heart thudded violently in his chest, each beat echoing with the weight of hope and fear. He could see the choice flickering in her eyes, a fragile flame wavering in a storm. "Please," he breathed, almost pleading. "Stay with us. We can figure this out, together." A flicker of light shone through the door, the last beacon of hope illuminating the girl's face just enough for Jake to see the internal battle raging within her. Emotions that had been buried under layers of despair fought their way to the surface. Her small frame shook slightly, as if she were both terrified and hopeful all at once. Another wind howled through the room, rattling the very foundation of their shared reality. Jake felt the chills seep into his bones, abandoning all sense of comfort. The figures shifted again, their presence towering and imposing. "Don't resist what can bring you peace," the second figure sneered, its voice dripping with false sweetness. "You already know the truth. Follow us, and the pain will fade." The girl clutched Jake's hand tighter, her knuckles whitening. He could feel her uncertainty, an electric current coursing between them. His resolve hardened. This was more than a battle for her physical presence, it was a stand against the darkness that wanted to consume her spirit. "Remember their faces," he urged quietly, the intensity of his gaze unyielding. "Feel the love they held for you. It's still alive in you. You aren't alone. We're right here, fighting for you." Lines of determination etched across the girl's small face as she took one last, deep breath. It was almost imperceptible, but Jake saw it. A shimmer of courage sparked in her eyes, igniting a small hope that perhaps they could fight back. The figures recoiled, sensing the shift within her. "You'll regret this," the first figure hissed, shadows swirling around them like a tempest. "You can never escape the truth." As the door began to close further, Jake realized they had only moments left. "We're stronger together," he shouted, intertwining his voice with the whispers of his heart. "Stay with us. Choose love." With a sudden movement, she pivoted her stance, turning firmly from the darkness. Jake felt the connection between them surge, igniting even more hope. I want to be with you." The girl's voice broke through the chaos, bright and brave, a radiant sound amidst the shadows. She let go of the pull that had tried to draw her in, and her small voice rang with newfound strength. A visceral rage filled the looming figures, their faces twisting in fury as they realized their grip on her was slipping away. Nothing could drown out her courage now. But the closing door heaved with growing intensity, colliding with their aura of resistance. Jake stepped forward, shielding the girl with his own body, feeling a surge of energy crackle through his veins. Unwavering, loving, fierce, the shadows writhed, desperate to reclaim their lost soul. And as the final glimpse of the light flashed behind the door, Jake's voice broke free once more. "We want to let you go. You belong with us." The room erupted into chaos as the door slammed shut, trapping the figures outside. Jake spun around, searching the girl's face for reassurance. Yet her eyes were wide, filled with both joy and shock. Had they truly escaped? Suddenly, the air shifted, and a new presence filled the room, one that smelled of hope and renewal. A voice reverberated through the stillness. "You chose love. Now, let us find your family." What awaited them in this newfound moment of light? Would it lead to the warmth of reunion or a deeper battle against the darkness? Jake's heart raced as the surreal warmth enveloped them, brushing away the remnants of the chilling shadows that had threatened to consume them. The room felt alive, buzzing with a newfound energy that sparked hope in every corner. He turned to the girl, whose small form still trembled slightly, but now with a flicker of light reflecting in her eyes. "Who are you?" Jake asked, gazing at the figure that had stepped forward from the light. It was a woman whose face radiated kindness, her presence both calming and invigorating. She wore a flowing garment that shimmered like the dawn, bringing an odd sense of familiarity to this overwhelming moment. "I am a guide," she replied softly. "You both chose love over despair. Now, we can journey together to find what was lost." Jake's mind raced with possibilities. Find her family? What would that even mean? Will they remember her? Questions swirled in his head as he glanced at the girl, searching for any signs of fear or doubt. Instead, he found her staring at the woman, enchanted, as if drawn by threads of connection only they could see. "Can we really find them?" the girl whispered, her voice a fragile wisp. "Of course," the woman answered, bending to meet her gaze. "Love is a powerful force. It knows the way home." Jake's breath caught in his throat. Could love truly lead them to her family? He felt a surge of unyielding determination. "Then let us go," he said, firming his resolve once again. He wanted this girl home, surrounded by love and warmth, not lost in darkness. With a nod, the woman extended her hand, the soft glow intensifying. Jake hesitated, then took the girl's tiny hand in his own and placed it gently in the woman's. What felt like a warm breeze surrounded them, and for a heartbeat, they stood suspended in a moment of blissful clarity. Suddenly, the air thickened as visions began to swirl around them. Shadows twisted and danced, but this time they weren't menacing, they felt like whispers of memories yet to be uncovered. Jake squinted to peer through the haze, searching for anything familiar that would lead them to safety. "Focus on your love," the woman whispered. "Let it guide you." The girl closed her eyes, and Jake felt an intense wave of emotion radiating from her. The warmth enveloped them both, lacing through every heartbeat. He could feel the girl's longing for home, her desperately clinging memories of laughter and smiles. They were bold and bright against the creeping darkness, making their way through this surreal landscape. As the scene shifted before them, a glimpse caught Jake's attention: flashes of a cozy living room, children's laughter spilling from a doorway, and warm arms reaching out. His heart ached for the girl, the weight of her hopes amplifying his own. "There. That's them." The girl's voice broke through the haze, bubbling with excitement as she pointed into the light. "I see them. I see my family." Joy surged through Jake, but alongside, a pang of fear struck him. What if they didn't recognize her? What if they'd been lost so long that their memories had faded? Ignoring the doubt that flared up inside him, he squeezed the girl's hand tightly, grounding her. "I'm right here. We're going to make this happen." The woman's voice rang out with clarity. "Embrace the love that binds you. Step into the light." With that, the world faded away, and everything shifted once more. Jake felt warmth touch every fiber of his being, pushing him forward as the girl stepped closer, eyes shining with determination. Would they find the acceptance they yearned for? As they took the leap into the unknown, his heart pounded harder than ever. The warmth was overwhelming, and the glow faded to reveal an open door, family silhouettes dancing in the light beyond. What would happen next? Would family recognize their little girl, or was this just the beginning of another struggle against shadows lurking behind them? The open door welcomed them like the arms of a long-lost family member. Outside, the world shifted, sunlit beams illuminating the spaces Jake had long thought lost forever. He felt the warmth of that light wash over him, embracing his heart with radiant hope. The girl stood beside him, her eyes wide with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Are you ready?" he asked gently, sensing the silent power of the moment. "Yes," she whispered, voice bubbling with certainty. Together, they crossed the threshold, stepping into a room filled with vibrant laughter and the smell of home-cooked meals. Jake's heart soared at the energetic chaos: children giggling, parents calling out sweet nicknames, and the glowing warmth of love enveloping the space. And then he saw her. A woman with soft features, hair that seemed to catch the sunlight, her eyes radiating a familiar sparkle that ignited emotions Jake had thought were long buried. She stood frozen for a moment, disbelief painted on her face. "Mom?" The girl's voice broke through the cacophony, soft yet powerful enough to silence the room. The warmth waned momentarily as heads turned, every soul instinctively drawn to her. Within seconds, the woman rushed forward, arms open wide. "Emma!" She called out, tears streaming down her cheeks as she knelt to embrace her daughter, holding her tightly as if afraid to let go again. Jake watched the reunion, heart swelling and breaking all at once. It felt surreal to witness such love, a connection he had yearned for after returning from war, yet felt so disconnected from. What did you do?" the woman asked, pulling back to gaze into Emma's eyes, searching for answers. "Mom, I was lost," Emma explained, her voice quivering but vibrant. "But these people, Jake and Max, they helped me find my way back." Expressions of joy and gratitude flooded the room as Emma's siblings rushed in, adding their laughter to the mix. Emotion surged through Jake as he stood at the periphery of their happiness. "Thank you," Emma's mother said, turning to Jake, her voice thick with emotion. "You brought her home." "I didn't do anything," Jake replied, his rough exterior cracking slightly. "She brought me back to life." He remembered the shadows he had faced with Emma, the weight of his own loneliness lifting as he guided her through the storm. The realization hit him it was not just about saving Emma, they had both learned to believe in hope again. The man who accompanied them stepped forward, his own eyes glistening with unshed tears as he caught sight of the joyous reunion. "Thank you," he murmured, his gratitude reflecting in the room like a heartbeat. "It's not just me," Jake said, gesturing to the little girl and the family who had welcomed her home. "We all need each other." Emma beamed, standing tall among her celebrated family, while Jake felt a bittersweet pull in his chest. He had been a part of something immeasurably beautiful, yet he had still to face the shadows of his own past. Suddenly, the warmth of the moment wrapped around him like a soft blanket of reassurance. He felt Max nuzzle his leg, as though reminding him he was not alone. Maybe I should go back to my family," Jake thought out loud. As if sensing his hesitation, Emma stepped forward, wrapping her arms around his waist. "You can be part of mine now," she said, eyes sparkling with truth. "You're brave, Jake. And brave people make families." Her words ignited something deep within him. The longing that had weighed so heavily for years began to bend, breaking the chains of despair he had carried alongside his courage. The family's warmth enveloped him as they welcomed him in slowly, gently. Jake felt his heart beginning to mend with a newfound sense of belonging. Laughter echoed, mingling with the scent of comfort and home, a reminder of everything he yearned for. "Come join us," Emma's mother encouraged, tenderness etched in her voice. "You are welcome here." Jake hesitated for a heartbeat longer, then stepped up, pushing aside years of regret and sorrow. He knelt down, finding himself wrapped in the embrace of Emma's family. Tears brimmed in his eyes, yet he realized these weren't tears of sadness, they were tears of joy. In the midst of banter and shout of laughter, emotions melted away into relief. The past gradually dusted over like snow, and Jake understood that healing was a journey worth taking, especially when surrounded by love. As the sun set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, the warm glow of the family filled every corner, binding Jake, Emma, and the man forever linked by their shared journey. They had emerged from shadows, confronting not just the darkness but reclaiming the light, reminding each other that healing begins with connection, love, and choosing hope. This is how Jake discovered the true power of family. Now, this is your moment to join us on this journey of hope and transformation. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this heartfelt journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is what keeps this community alive.